ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुक्तापदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपदान् सगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So welcome to SSR reading. We are continuing from chapter 6. Is there any volunteer to read today?
I'll read Prabhuji. I'll take either Dr. Singh or Prabhupada, anything is fine.
I will read Dr. Singh, you read Prabhupada.
Sure.
Hmm. But just before that,
Yes.
we were discussing about Dr. Frog's philosophy. The
Yes.
frog is trying to understand how big the ocean is, and by his own attempts, by this attempt that he makes, he always compares it with the well that he lives in or the pond that he lives in, and the ocean is so big that from all practical standpoint we will know that he will never understand, right? So that is the thing that the supreme lord krishna, he has achinta shakti. If he says let there be light, there was light. If we say let there be light, will there be light? No. How do we get light at home?
By electricity.
No. How? What is the whole system? We have to stop a river, build a
Yes.
dam for 5 to 8 years, then start the dam. It will it will rotate the turbines. It will rotate the turbines. Then in the magnetic field, the electricity will be induced. The voltage will be too high, so it will be now passed down from 500 kilometers wherever the dam is to our city, and there will be big electric towers, and high voltage and high current line will be there. When it comes near to our city, they will use a transformer, and those 20,000 volts, they will decrease it to 230 volts, right? Then it will come to our house. First it will go to every house as a transformer, so again the transformer will be there. Then it will come to our room, and we have to then switch and say let there be light, and then tube light is on, right? So we have to do so many things to get a light in our room, right? But for the supreme lord, he just had to say let there be light, and there was light. Okay, so to understand that potential, achintya potential of the lord is very difficult. It is impossible. Some things we can understand, but fully we'll never understand. So that's what it is. Okay, so he is adoksaja. That means he cannot be approached by the senses. Our senses are there, na? He cannot be approached by. That's what's mean by adoksaja. Therefore, modern scientists, if they use their material scientists to approach him, they'll never understand. See, even Duryodhan tried to bind him. If you know the story of Mahabharata, when Krishna went to Duryodhan saying that, we don't want war. The Pandavas have settled down to 5 villages. Forget the whole kingdom. They only want 5 villages, one village for each brother. But let's avoid this war. Duryodhan said, I won't give a land which is equal to a tip of a needle. And then he said, Krishna, I am going to bind you. So, he brought chain to bind Krishna. At that point, Krishna showed his universal form and confused Duryodhan. So, tell me one thing, why couldn't Duryodhan bind Krishna? Why couldn't Duryodhan bind Krishna? Because he's Adoksaja. Adoksaja means with material things you cannot measure him, you cannot do anything. Getting?
Yes.
But so any person cannot approach the Supreme Lord Krishna with his direct perception, with his senses. Okay, because he's Adoksaja. Now there was another devotee. Now Duryodhana is not a devotee. Okay, but there was another devotee who tried to bind Krishna with ropes. Who was that devotee?
Arjuna.
No, it happened on the day of Diwali. Krishna ate mud.
Mother Yashoda.
Yashoda, yeah. So she also tried to bind Krishna with ropes. Was
Yes,
she
that.
successful?
No, she couldn't, but Krishna has
Krishna
binded.
allowed her, right?
Yeah.
So she was successful, but Duryodhan was not successful. Now, what was the difference between she approaching Krishna and Duryodhan approaching Krishna? Both approached with the rope, okay, which was made of matter. But how come Yashoda only won and Duryodhan lost?
Yashoda has a complete love on Krishna. She has
Yeah,
love.
yes, yes, yes. So how we can know Krishna? So Brahmaji, he tells us how we can know Krishna, and we will read that verse and then we'll go ahead. It's in Brahma Samhita. Do you see Brahma Samhita? This verse. प्रेमाञ्जनचुरितभक्तिविलोचनेन सन्तः सदैव हृदयेषु विलोकयन्ति यं श्यामसुन्दरमचिन्त्यगुणस्वरूपं गोविन्दमादिपुरुषं तमहं भजामि. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, who is Sham Sundar Krishna, himself with inconceivable, innumerable attributes, whom the pure devotees see in their heart of hearts with the eye of devotion tinged with salve of love. So Krishna reciprocated with Yashoda because he saw love, prema, anjana in her eyes. Right?
Yes, Lord.
But Duryodhan, when he approached Krishna, what did he see in his eyes? Anger,
Yeah.
cunningness. So Krishna didn't get bound by Duryodhan, but he bound by Yashoda. Why? Because there was tinge of love in her eyes. So when we can see Krishna, when there is premanjana churita bhakti, when there is devotion, basically bhakti, when there is devotional service attitude, loving reciprocation with the Lord will melt. The Ajita will become Jita. So Krishna's another name is Ajit. Ajit means you cannot conquer. Okay, but he can be conquered by devotion. So the Ajit Lord will become Jita. He'll be conquered by Power of devotion. Okay. There are many more things to say, but I think it's enough. So now to understand about Krishna, we should approach teacher. That was the last thing we discussed. That with the Prani Pratina Pari Prashnina Sevya. We should approach teacher, give service, and then ask our questions and learn from the teacher. Right? Okay. Okay. Who would like to read Mataji, you said you will read Srila Prabhupada. So who would like to read Dr. Singh? Anyone? Okay, I will read Dr. Singh. And Mother, you read Srila Prabhupada. There is a scientific journal called Nature. It contains articles concerning natural products like plants, animals, but it does not mention God, only nature.
We may correctly observe that plants are being produced by nature, but we must ask what has produced nature. To ask this question is intelligence.
The scientists don't think about it.
So they are fools. As soon as we speak of nature, the next question should be whose nature? For instance, I speak of my nature and you speak of your nature. Therefore, as soon as nature is mentioned, the next inquiry should be whose nature? Nature means energy, and as soon as you speak of energy, you must accept that there is a source of that energy. For example, the source of electric energy is the electric powerhouse. Electricity is not produced automatically. We must install a powerhouse and a generator. Similarly, in the Vedas, it is said that material nature is working under Krishna's direction.
So, do you mean to say that science has started from an intermediate point, not from the original point?
Yes, that is it exactly. They are ignorant of the origin. The scientists start from one point, but where does that point come from? That they do not know. In spite in spite of vast research, one has to accept that the original source is God, who is full of all mystic powers and from whom everything emanates. He himself says in the Bhagavad Gita 10.8, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate. I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds. Everything emanates from me. Our conclusions are not based on blind faith, they are most scientific. Matter comes from life. In the origin, there are unlimited material resources. That is the great mystery of creation.
Okay, go ahead.
Modern scientific research is just like Sankhya philosophy, which analyzes material elements. Sankhya means to count. We are also Sankhya philosophers to some extent because we count and analyze the material elements. This is land, this is water, this is air, this is sunshine, this is fire. Furthermore, I can count my mind, my intelligence, and my ego. Beyond my ego, however, I cannot count. But Krishna says that there is existence beyond the ego, and that existence is the living force, the spirit soul. This is what the scientists do not know. They think that life is merely a combination of material elements. But Krishna denies this in the Bhagavad Gita 7.5. Prabhuji, can you scroll a little? Apareyam yitastvanyam prakritim vidhi me param. Besides this inferior nature, there is a superior energy of mind. The inferior nature is the material elements, and the superior energy is the living entity. भूमिरापो नलो वायुः कम्मनो बुद्धिरेव च अहंकार इति यम्मे भिन्नः प्रकृतिरष्टदा. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego. All together, these eight comprise my separated material energies. From Bhagavad Gita 7.4. Krishna explains here in the Bhagavad Gita that Vayu, gas, comes from him, and the finer than the gases is come, ether. Finer than the ether is the mind, finer than the mind is intelligence, and finer than the intelligence is the soul. But the scientists do not know this. They can perceive only gross things. They mention Vayu, but where does the Vayu come from? Where does the gas come from?
Hmm. So a lot of things Prabhupada said. So first thing is it is intelligence to ask whose nature it is. Okay. Sometimes children ask, how does everything come from? So actually they are very intelligent. But we as parents, are not so educated, so we say, oh, it's a stupid question, don't ask all this. But actually it's the most intelligent question. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabhu mattam sarva pravarte. Everything comes from me, everything emanates from me. So we can say to our children, everything comes from Krishna. Matter comes from life. Life comes from life. Life doesn't come from matter. Prabhupada talked about Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya means to count. Count means to analyze each element. Okay. This is water, this is air. So modern scientists also do that same thing. This is hydrogen, this is oxygen, this is nitrogen. If you mix the two, this thing happens. If it's separated, this will happen. So it's nothing but Sankhya. But ultimately, it should come down to Krishna. Okay, it should come down to soul and it should come down to Krishna, which they cannot come. They don't come only to that point. But Krishna says everything in Bhagavad Gita. So, okay. That they cannot answer. Go ahead, Madhav.
Yes, please. But we can answer. We have the knowledge that gas comes from or ether, and ether comes from mind, mind comes from intelligence, and intelligence comes from Krishna's superior energy, the spirit soul.
Are both inferior and superior energies studied in Sankhya philosophy?
No, Sankhya philosophers do not know of superior energy. They simply analyze the material elements, just as the scientists do. Neither the scientists nor the Sankhya philosophers know anything of the spirit soul. They are simply analyzing Krishna's material energy.
They are analyzing the creative material elements.
Material elements are not creative. The soul is creative. No one can create life with only matter, and matter cannot create itself. You, a living entity, can mix hydrogen and oxygen to create water, but matter itself has no creative energy. If you place a bottle of hydrogen near a bottle of oxygen, will they automatically combine without your help?
So what is meant by creative material elements? This is a very interesting combination of words. Creative material elements. What do you understand by this?
uh, like the material elements which can create something fresh. So,
So can you give me example that a material element created something?
yeah, like in true sense is different, but our understanding is like whatever new discoveries we are making,
Hmm.
that we are claiming like see like we have a it's not a discovery, it is an invention, or like
Okay,
so we
okay.
reproduce these new things like that in technological or scientific terms. But really speaking, I mean, all of them is only the reorganization or recombination only. It's not
No, no.
absolutely a new
Try to
generation. Yeah,
understand this word. Creative material elements.
elements. Yeah,
And what Prabhupada is saying, material elements are not creative. The soul is creative. So what is the problem in this statement?
because I think Dr. Singh doesn't know what is soul.
No, no, no. The thing is, in scientific world,
Yeah,
they think that everything that is getting produced is just a combination of matter.
material, matter.
Okay, two
Yeah,
chemicals combined and all that.
yeah, E equal to MC square. Correct.
Now what they say is the matter itself is very creative, meaning automatically the matters are mixing with each other and creating. Okay.
Creative. Yeah,
Okay, the whole big bang speculation is that that a small element of matter is expanding.
Expanding.
Okay. Now, creative means some intelligence is required, right?
Yes.
Otherwise, you cannot be creative. So, how come matter is having that intelligence? You take any matter, hydrogen and oxygen.
Yeah.
Are they creative on their own?
No.
That's the point Prabhupada is saying. Okay. Now, this is what modern science says, that matter is creative by itself. So it's very easy
Ah,
for them to conclude that there is no God. Everything is working on its own. Matters are combining. Laws have been followed, and they are creative in themselves only. You don't need a creator. You don't need a God to do all these things.
yeah.
Okay, this is their argument.
And
That's what Dr. Singh,
so,
who is a PhD,
yeah.
and he is using these words: creative material elements.
So, Prabhuji, like in the
Hmm.
science, see, science deals with something which is tangible, है ना? Or
Okay. Okay.
yeah. So, including even the energy, although we cannot see it, but it
Right. Right. Right.
exists, है ना?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it is a tangible.
Yeah.
But why they are not talking of the soul? Why the science or the like they're talking of energy in a different form, but they're not talking of the soul as it is. Although
Yeah.
they, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. See, the thing is, now, have you heard about this experiment called as God particle?
I heard Prabhuji, not many details.
So, what are they trying to do is it's called an accelerator. This one.
Oh, that
It's something
CERN
like, yeah,
exam. Yeah,
something
yeah.
like I don't know, maybe 25-kilometer long accelerator is there, and they're
Mm-hmm.
bombarding it with various atoms and neutrons and all that. Okay, so this experiment is going on somewhere. It is going on in Europe.
Yeah, it is in the Europe, Prabhuji,
Yeah,
under
and
CERN.
then
Yeah,
the machines are collecting all this data, and
yeah.
from that, this large hadron collider, na, from that they are trying to find out the element which will create on its own,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they call as God particle. So ultimately, what happens if you use these terms, God particle, creative material elements? What is the problem with using these terms?
It's a little misleading. I mean, one
What
thing
is
is,
misleading in it?
in fact, it is wrong because matter is not creative on its own, but we are telling like creative material. So
Yeah.
the same
So
same
it's
thing
very
will become the
easy to
knowledge.
remove the creator, the person creator, away from the
Yeah,
material elements. Okay,
yeah.
away from his creation. It's easy to do that. So that's why these words like creative material elements means the material elements are themselves so intelligent that they will create.
Yeah.
But if that is the case, then Prabhupada makes a simple hydrogen oxygen, just put two bottles near to each other. Will they mix automatically?
Mhm.
No.
No, Prabhuji. Yeah.
So there was a Nobel Prize winner. Okay. So he made a very nice statement. He was talking on this Big Bang theory and all that. Okay. And he said, it is what you are explaining is something like this. We have a big Boeing aeroplane, right?
Mm.
Now take all the parts of it, 80,000 parts. Maybe more than that. Let's say 80,000 parts are there in a plane, and arrange it in a field, football field. Okay, arrange it.
Mhm.
So anyway, how you want to arrange it, just keep it. 80,000 parts. Now, just wait. Wait for a hurricane. Hurricane means large wind. Okay, and let it pass over this football field. And after it passes, we should see that a Boeing aeroplane is standing there.
Mm.
Is it possible?
No,
That's what he said. So your Big Bang theory is actually not possible only. How
not
come there will
possible.
be so much creation, there will be so much order and law by by a bang? Tell me any bang, a bomb which bang, which burst, right?
Hmm.
And after the burst, we have a very nice thing in front of us.
No, destruction only.
It's only destruction, right? So that's the point he was making. So, these things we have to be very careful when scientists say a creative material. I mean, you should immediately understand that they are trying to put the creator away from the creative creation. So Prabhupada said very nice point that you can't mix the just keeping two bottles in each other. You can't even if you mix it right, you cannot mix. You need to put energy in it. You know that you cannot mix hydrogen and oxygen to create water. You need to put energy in it.
Correct. Hmm.
Yeah. So someone else has to do these two things together, and that's what our experience is. To get anything, there has to be some other person trying to enforce that thing, right?
Yeah, Prabhuji. Yeah, Prabhuji.
So that's what Prabhupada is saying, that soul is creative. So the soul is using the material energy and creating another thing.
Yeah, Prabhuji.
Similarly,
And
the
also,
world is created by a superior intelligence.
correct, correct.
Hmm.
And also, Prabhuji, like in the water case, hydrogen and oxygen, first we discovered that water is constitutes of hydrogen and oxygen. So it's not really a creation; it's only a production, and
Yeah, it's not
reproduced
an
by the
invention, right? It's not
yeah,
an invention. It is
yeah.
it
It's
is
only
a
production, like
discovery. It is a
yeah,
discovery.
yeah, correct, correct. So
It's a
different
discovery.
routes of producing it. One route is like this, another route is like that. So, but it's nothing like a newly created anything.
Yeah. Yes. So
Yeah.
science cannot newly create things. It can change
Mm.
one energy into another.
Banana. Yeah,
Water
that's
energy
it.
into electricity, sun energy into electricity, right?
Correct, correct, correct.
But
Transformation. Yeah, that's it.
something
No
without
creation.
coming out from nothing, that man cannot do. Only God can do.
Yeah, that is coming out actually. But Prabhuji, I mean, these
Hmm.
arguments of Srila Prabhupada, I mean, they are so technical and they valid 100% today.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. No, they must be mixed. Good, Madai.
Yes, Prabhu. Yes, the superior energy, the living entity, is required. Oxygen and hydrogen are inferior energy. But when the superior energy mixes them, then they can become water. Inferior energy has no power unless superior energy is involved. This sea, indicating the Pacific Ocean, is calm and quiet, but when superior force, air pushes it, high waves are created. The sea has no power without superior force. Similarly, there is another force superior to the air, and another until we arrive at Krishna, the most superior force. This is real research. Suppose a railroad train is just starting to move. The engine pushes one car, which pushes another, and so on, until the entire train is moving. And the whole motion originates with the engineer, a living entity. Similarly, in the cosmic creation, Krishna gives the first push, and then, by means of many successive pushes, the entire cosmic manifestation comes into being. This is explained in the Bhagavad Gita 9.10. Mayadhyakshena prakritihi suyate sacharacharam. This material and nature is working under my direction, O son of Kunti, and is producing all moving and unmoving beings. And a little later, Sarvayonishu Kaunteya Murtaya Sambhavantiyaha. Tasham Brahma Mahad Yonir Aham Bija Pradha Pita. All species of life are made by possible by birth in nature, and I am the seed giving father. From Bhagavad Gita 14.44. For example, if we sow a banyan seed, a huge tree eventually grows up and produces millions of new seeds. Each of these seeds in turn produces another tree with millions of new seeds, and so on. So Krishna is the original seed giving father. Unfortunately, the scientists only observe the immediate cause. They do not perceive the remote cause. There are two causes, the immediate cause and the remote cause. Krishna is described in the Vedas as Sarvakarana Karanam, the cause of all causes. If you understand the cause of all causes, then you understand everything. कस्मिन्नु भगवो विज्ञते सर्वम idam vijñātam bhavati. If you know the original cause, the later subordinate causes are automatically known. Although the scientists are searching after the original cause, when the Vedas, which contain perfect knowledge, give the original cause, they won't accept. They keep to their partial imperfect knowledge.
Yeah. Any question on what was read? We should come to the understanding Krishna is the cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karana. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham Bija Pradapitaha. I am the seed giving father. Mamai Vansha Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatara. All these seeds, these jivas, are my part and parcel. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suete Se Characharam. Under my Adhyaksha, Prakriti is moving. Under my direction, Prakriti is moving. Any question on this? No?
Uh, the questions are many, not able to phrase. I mean, under my direction, the Prakriti is moving. So, Prabhuji, there are a lot of other demigods or gods who are controlling the things. So,
Right.
how do we completely know, like, like, because this is a problem we also face when we are going to some other temple or something like that. So superiority of the Lord Krishna is established, that is true. But what is the linkage with the others? That what is
Oh, okay. 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 So this linkage na is explained here in Brahma Samhita. Okay. Hmm. So this linkage is explained in Brahma Samhita. Okay. The external potency of Maya, who is of the nature of the shadow of Chit, is worshipped by all people as Durga, the creating, preserving, and destroying agency of this mundane world. I adore primeval Lord Govinda, in accordance whose will Durga conducts herself. So we should see, when we go to Durga Mandir, we should see, oh, she is listening to Krishna. And that's why she's doing Srishti Siti Palaya Sadhana Shakti Rekha Chayava Yasya Bhuvanari Vivarti Durga Ichhana Rupam Api Ichhana Rupam Ichha. By the desire of Krishna, she is doing everything. Yasya Chesa Chesa Govinda Madi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. And when we go to Lord Shiva, this is the one. Just as milk is transformed into curd by action of acids, but yet the effect curd is neither same nor different from its cause, milk. So I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, of whom the state of Shambhu is transformation of the performance of the work of destruction. So Shambhu Shiva comes from Krishna Govinda, just like curd comes from milk. Is curd equal to milk? No.
No problem.
But curd came from milk. Did milk come from curd or curd come from milk?
Curd come from milk.
Yeah.
Milk
So
is
he is
origin.
neither same nor he is different. So he is not independent. Okay. And what he is doing? He is doing performance of the work of destruction. And one more. Yeah. यत पाद पल्लव युगम विनिधाय कुंभ द्वंद्वे प्रणाम समये से गणाधिराज विघ्न विहंतु मलमस्य जगत्त्रयस्य गोविंदमादि पुरुषम तमहम भज. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda on whose lotus feet are always held by Ganesha. Upon the pair of tumuli protruding from his infant head, in order to obtain the power for his function of destroying all the obstacles on the path of progress of the three worlds. Vigna Harta, right?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Ganapati is Vigna Harta. But where is
Vignartha.
he getting all the power? He's getting it from Govinda. How is getting? Krishna's feet he is keeping on his head. So actually, Lord Ganesha worships Lord Narsimha Bhagwan, and he keeps the feet of Narsimha Bhagwan on his head. That's how he gets the Vigna Harta power. Okay, and like that
Yes,
we
Prabhuji.
can go for Indra also, and this is for sun. यच्चक्षुरेश अमिता एष सविता सकल ग्रहाणां राजा समस्त सुरमूर्तिरशेष तेजः यस्याज्ञा ब्रह्मति संवृत काल चक्र गोविंदमादि पुरुषं तमहं भजामि. The sun, who is the king of all planets, full of infinite intelligence, the image of good soul, is as the eye of this world. I adore the primeval Lord Govinda, in pursuance of whose order Govinda is giving order. The sun performs his journey. So why is sun performing his journey? Krishna is giving that order. Who is saying this? Brahma is saying, because he is the original creator, secondary creator, sorry. He knows how things are working. So when we go to Devata temple, we should see them as servants of Krishna. They are doing all job of Krishna, what Krishna has assigned them to do. Okay. Was that your question, Prabhuji?
Yes, 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 Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Thank you for clarifying. Yeah, thank
So
you.
you can read this Brahma Samhita.
Prabhuji, where is the link for this? This is
I will share this link in
group.
this
Yeah, thank
WhatsApp
you.
group. Okay.
Thank you, thank you.
Okay. Scientists are worried about energy sources. Now they are working to utilize solar energy for cooking, lighting, and various other purposes. They are hoping that when they exhaust all other energy sources, they'll be able to use solar energy. Read.
This is not a very new theory. Everyone knows that because the roots of trees store the sun's energy, it is possible to get fire from a tree. These scientists are tiny creatures, but they are very proud. We don't give them credit because they are simply stating what everyone knows. As soon as you cut a tree, you cannot get fire from it. It has to be dried in the sun. When the energy is gathered from the sun, the tree can be utilized for fire. Actually, everything is being maintained by the sun's energy. But the scientists don't know where the sun's energy comes from. In the Bhagavad Gita 15.12, Krishna says, Yad Aditya Gatam Tejo Jagat Bhashayate Akhilam Yad Chandramasi Yad Chagnau Tat Tejo Viddimamakam. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me, and the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire are also from me. Again, Krishna says, Jyotisam Ravir Amsuman. O lights, I am the radiant sun of lights, I am the radiant sun. Bhagavad Gita 10.21. Also in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna tells Krishna, Sasi Surya Netram. The sun and moon are among your great unlimited eyes. This knowledge is contained in the Bhagavad Gita, but scientists cannot attain this knowledge by their speculation. Can they?
It is not possible.
And what is their knowledge? The scriptures say that even if you counted all the grains of sand on earth, you still would not be able to understand God. All this material counting does not mean that you have the capacity to understand the unlimited, but it is even beyond their capacity to count all the material things. Why are the scientists so proud of their energy and capacities? They do not even know of the material things. And what to speak of the spiritual? As far as scientists and other living entities are concerned, their knowledge is limited. But this is not so for Krishna. If we receive knowledge from Krishna, that knowledge is perfect. In the scriptures, we receive information that there are 900,000 species of life existing within the ocean. The information given in the scriptures is exact because it comes from Krishna. And as Krishna himself says, as a supreme personality of Godhead, I know everything that has happened in the past and all that is happening in the present and all the things that are yet to come. In Bhagavad Gita 7.26.
We have to take the knowledge from supreme knower.
For perfect knowledge, we have to approach a superior person, a guru. One may try to learn a subject by reading books at home, but he can learn much better by going to college and approaching a professor. In the same way, we have to approach a guru. Of course, if we encounter a false guru, our knowledge is false. But if our guru is perfect, our knowledge is perfect. We accept Krishna as our Guru. If he is perfect in knowledge, our knowledge is also perfect. As far as we are concerned, we do not have to perfect in ourselves. But if we receive knowledge from the perfect, our knowledge is perfect. We cannot say that we understand that there are 900,000 species of life in the ocean because we have studied the entire ocean. Rather, we say that we take this information from scriptures and therefore it is perfect. This is the Vedic process. Scientists may carry out much research work, but however great a scientist may be, his senses are imperfect. Therefore, he cannot have perfect knowledge. What is the value of our eyes? We cannot see without sunlight, nor can we see small things without a microscope. Our eyes are imperfect, and the instruments our eyes have discovered are also imperfect. How then is it possible to get perfect knowledge? Because the living entity is limited, his knowledge is limited. A child may know that 2 plus 2 equals 4, but when speaks of higher mathematics, we do not take him seriously. The senses through which a scientist acquires knowledge are limited and imperfect. Therefore, his knowledge is limited and imperfect. In this ignorance, he may claim to know everything, but that is simply nonsense. A blind man may lead another blind man, but what does it avail them when they both fall into a ditch? The laws of nature bind us hand and foot, yet we think we are free to speculate. This is illusion. Although conditioned by so many of nature's laws, the rascals think they are free. Yet, if there is a cloud, they cannot see the sun. What power have we to see? Only when nature's laws gives us some facility are we able to see. Indeed, we can only experiment under certain conditions, and if the conditions are not favorable, our experiments fail. Why then are we so proud of experimental knowledge? Why experiment? Things are already there. The sun's energy is there, given by God for us to use. What else is there to know? So many apples fall from trees. What further need is there to explain the law of gravity? Actually, the scientists are lacking in a common sense. They are simply concerned with scientific explanations. They say the law of gravity works only under certain conditions. But who has made these conditions? When Krishna appeared as Lord Ramachandra, he threw stones on the water and the stones floated. The law of gravity did not work in that case. Therefore, the law of gravity works only under the direction of the Supreme Lord. The law in itself is not final. A king may give a law, but he can change that law immediately. The ultimate law giver is Krishna, and a law will only work by his will. Scientists try to explain God's will in so many ways, but because they are conditioned by Maya, illusion, they can only talk like a person haunted by ghosts. Tell me, what is the scientific explanation that accounts for all the varieties of trees?
They say that nature mutates and make these varieties. Mutates means on its own it changes and creates a new variety.
Then it must be nature's will. And what is that will? Does the land have any will?
Well, they are very vague on that point.
That means that they do not have perfect knowledge. They do not know that behind nature is the will of Krishna.
They explain that the chemical composition of these different plants is different.
That's all right, but who made these chemical compositions? As soon as you say chemical composition, you immediately require a god.
They say there is no need of God because if you mix two chemicals together,
God or not, there must be some will, there must be some consciousness. Two chemicals mix and produce such and such. Who mixes them? Consciousness is there. Well, that consciousness is Krishna. There is consciousness everywhere, and as soon as you accept that consciousness, you must accept consciousness as a person. Therefore, we speak of Krishna consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is stated that consciousness is all pervading. You may have consciousness, and I may have consciousness, but there is another consciousness which is all pervading. By my consciousness is limited to my body, and your consciousness is limited to yours. But there is another consciousness which is within you, me, and everyone. That is Krishna consciousness.
any question on this? So this thing now comes in the chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita. The chapter 13 of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna talks about three things: Jiva, Parama, uh, Paramatma. So Jiva can feel his body, right? We can feel our body, right? Somehow.
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
Uh, but Paramatma can feel all the bodies in the creation. Now, Jiva is individual soul. Paramatma is Krishna, 400 form of Krishna. It is one soul in all bodies. And Jiva is many, many souls in many, many bodies. So, a Jiva can feel his body, but he cannot feel others' body. I cannot feel your body. You cannot feel my body. But a Paramatma within you and me are same. So he can feel your pain, your pleasure, and he can feel my pain, my pleasure, both at the same time. And that Paramatma is nothing but Krishna. Okay, any question? Okay. Okay, go ahead, Mother.
Actually, everything in the world is relative. That is a scientific fact. Our bodies, lives, intelligence, and everything else are all relative. Because an ant may seem to have a very short life, but for the ant, his life is about 100 years in duration. That 100 years is relative to the body. Similarly, Brahma, who lives fantastically long from our point of view, only lives 100 years from his point of view. It is relativity.
Yeah, so this relativity means what is 100 years for us is different for 100 years for ant, and is different for 100 years for elephant, it's different for 100 years of Brahma also. Then this relativity is based upon individual situation.
Yes. Therefore, it is said that What is food for one is poison for another. People are thinking that because they cannot survive on the moon, no other living entities can. Everyone thinks of things in a relative way, in his own terms. This is the meaning of frog philosophy. The frog is always thinking of things in relation to his well. He has no power to conceive of the Atlantic Ocean because his well is his only experience. God is great, but we are thinking of God's greatness in our own terms, in terms of relative greatness. Some insects are born at night, they grow at night, have their children at night, and die at night. They never see the sun. Therefore, they conclude that there is no such thing as day. If you ask the insect about the morning, he would say there cannot be any morning. Similarly, when people hear of Brahma's long duration of life from the scriptures, they do not believe it. They say, how can anyone live for such a long time? In the Bhagavad Gita 8.17, Krishna states, Sahasra Yuga Paryantam Aharyad Brahmano Viduhu Ratrim Yuga Sahasranantam Teho Ratra Vido Janaha. By human's calculation, 1,000 ages taken together is the duration of Brahma's one day, and such also is the duration of his night. Thus, Brahma, by these calculations, lives for so many millions and trillions of years. We cannot believe this, although evidence is given in the scriptures. In other words, we conclude that Krishna talks nonsensically while we speak as authorities. Even great scholars say that these scriptural statements are all mental speculations. Although these men are nothing but rascals, they pass for reputable scholars. They place themselves above God's position by attempting to refute or deny the statements of God in the revealed scriptures. In this way, so many fools in the guise of scholars, scientists, and philosophers are misguiding the whole world.
Of course, so much is written about Darwin theory. In any library, there are hundreds of books on this theory.
Do they accept or reject them?
Generally, they accept him, but there are some who are very critical.
Darwin speaks about the evaluation of the species of life, but he has no real information about spiritual evaluation. He knows nothing about the progress of the spirit soul from lower forms of life to higher forms. He claims that man has evolved from monkeys, but we can use that monkey is not extinct. If the monkey is the immediate forefather of man, why is the monkey still existing?
Why the monkey still existing? Okay.
Yeah,
Interesting
this is
question.
very, very important. Yeah.
Okay. Darwin says that the species are not created independently, but are descended from one another.
If there is no question of independence, how can he abruptly begin with a certain species? He must explain how the original species came into existence.
Scientists claim that Earth was created by biological chemistry because that God created Earth because they think everyone will consider them fools.
If their biology and chemistry are so advanced, why don't they create something? They claim they may be able to create life in the future, but, but why in the future? Life is already created. Is science based on the future? We should trust no future, however pleasant we may think it will be. Everyone is thinking the future will be very pleasant. But what assurance do we have of this? They have to accept that they do not know what the truth actually is. They cannot even produce a spear of grass through their biological and chemical experiments. Nonetheless, they are claiming that the creation is produced by some chemical or biological method. Why does no one question all this nonsense?
In the ultimate analysis, when they consider origin of life, they say that
Can
everything
we
started
unmute
from matter.
Pritam Prabhu, and I think we are getting some noise. Air, like, can we mute?
Okay. In the ultimate analysis, when they consider the origin of life, they say everything started from matter. In other words, living matter comes from non living matter.
From where is this living matter coming now? Did it come from non-living matter in the past and not at the present? How is the ant coming? Is it materializing from dirt? Even an ant does not come from inert matter. What proof do they have of such a theory? Darwin claims that in the distinct past no really intelligent man existed. That man simply evolved from the apes. If there was no intelligent brain in the past, how is it that these Vedic scriptures were written thousands and thousands of years ago? How do they explain a sage like Vyasadeva?
They have no expression. They simply say they are unknown forest sages.
Vyasadeva may be unknown to them, but nonetheless he was there. How is it he got such a brain? He may be unknown to you or to me, but nonetheless his brain work is there. Brain work is there. His philosophy is there. His language, linguistics, poetic arrangements, and verbal strength. You may not know the person, but you can understand the brain.
Weren't all the varieties of animal existing from beginning?
Yes, simultaneous creation is verified by the Bhagavad Gita. All the varieties of animals and men as well as demigods were existing from the beginning. A living entity wants a certain type of body and Krishna gives it to him. Because he desires things in a certain way, he associates with certain qualities of nature in matter. According to his association, he receives a particular type of body. The psychological forces, the mind, thinking, feeling, and willing, determine the particular type of situation and body the living entity receives. The evaluationary process is there, but it is not an evaluation of species. It is not that one species of life develops from another. For as Krishna states, भूतग्रामः स एवायं भूतभूत्वा प्रलीयते रात्रि आगमे अवशः पार्थ प्रभवति अहर् आगमे. Again and again, when Brahma's day arrives, all living entities come into being, and with the arrival of Brahma's night, they are helplessly annihilated. Bhagavad Gita 8.19. The evaluation is the spiritual
Not
evaluation of
evaluation, it is evolution.
evolution. The evolution is the spiritual evolution of the individual living entity through the various species of life. If one enters into the body of a fish, he has to undergo the evolutionary process step by step. If one is on the top of the stairs and somehow falls down, he again has to go up the evolutionary staircase step by step. Of course, the scientists are busy making so much research that they cannot understand this. If you tell them they are going to be trees in their next life, they think you are speaking nonsense. After all, what can we learn by research? When the cause of all causes is known, then everything knowable becomes known and nothing remains unknown. As the Vedas state, Kasminnu Bhagavo Vijnate Sarvam Idam Vijnatam Bhavati. If we know the absolute truth, all other truths become known. But if we don't know the absolute truth, we are in ignorance. One may not be an official scientist or philosopher, but he may challenge anyone and talk boldly if he only knows one thing, Krishna. This contemporary civilization is so proud of its independence, but actually it is so much dependent on oil. If the oil supply is stopped, then what will these rascal scientists do? They cannot do anything. Let them try to manufacture oil in their test tubes. Enough oil to run their civilization on. At present, there is a scarcity of water in India. What can the scientists do about this? They may know the chemical composition of water, but they cannot produce it when there is a great scarcity. They require the help of clouds, and all that is God's manipulation. Actually, they cannot do anything. They
Like,
have God.
like in Bangalore, we are having
Yes,
water
this
problem,
is the
right?
current situation. Yeah,
We just cannot do anything.
yeah,
We have to
that's
wait
what
for it.
yeah.
Yeah.
We are just waiting for the rains to come, right? We are unable to
Yeah.
produce the water. They
Hmm.
have gone to the moon, but for all their labor, they have simply taken away some dust and rocks. The rascal government exacts taxes and spends money unnecessarily. This is their intelligence. It is a state of asses, that's all. The politicians have no sympathy or compassion. They do not consider that the hard earned money is coming from the public and that they are spending it by shooting big rockets off to other planets. All they do is promise to bring back more dust. First, they may get a handful of dust, then they promise to bring back tons of dust. What is the meaning of all this?
They believe there may be life on Mars.
They may believe or not believe. What is the gain? What we do know is that life is here. They know this, yet they are engaged in fighting and killing in life. Here is life. Here is a human being. Life is here undoubtedly. But they are busy trying to destroy it with their big bombs. This is their scientific advancement.
Currently wars are going on, right?
Yes.
So even Prabhupada is pulled,
Yeah.
the stock is almost in the 1970s, but it's so relevant to today's time also, right?
Yes. Sir.
They are very curious to know what is going on other planets.
That means that their childish curiosity, they are spending so much money. They can spend so much to satisfy their curiosity. But when so many poverty stricken countries ask them for help, they say there is no money. They are very proud to go to the moon, but why don't they take information how to go to Krishna's Goloka Vrindavana? If they go there, all their curiosity will be satisfied. They will learn that beyond this inferior energy, there is indeed a superior spiritual energy. This material energy cannot work independently. The spiritual energy has to join it. Material elements are not created of themselves. It is the soul that is creative. We we may try to make something with matter, but matter does not create itself. Hydrogen and oxygen will come in contact only when moved by the superior energy. Only fools can expect the entire cosmic manifestation, which is only matter, to come into being automatically. We may have a nice car, but if there is no driver, what is its use? Unless a man knows how to work a machine, unless a man pushes a button, the machine does not work. Similarly, without the superior energy, the material energy cannot act. Behind this wonderful cosmic manifestation is the direction of a superior energy. All this information is given in the scriptures, but still people will not believe it. Actually, everything is God's property, but people are claiming this property to be theirs or their country's. Now they are talking about the problem of overpopulation, but the fact is that God has supplied enough. Actually, there is enough land and enough food if it is properly used. People are artificially creating problems, and the scientists are helping them by giving them so many destructive devices. They simply encourage the rascals and rogues who are trying to use up God's property. If you help a murderer or a thief, you also become a criminal. Is that not so? There is so much trouble in the world because the scientists are helping all the thieves and rogues. Thus, they are all criminals. Stina eva saha. Stina eva saha. One who does not recognize the proprietorship of the Supreme Lord is a thief. Our mission is to bring these rascals to their senses. Now, one must find out the means to do this. The rascals are suffering, but because they are sons of God, they should not suffer. They do not know that there is God or that there is happiness. They know nothing of bliss or of eternal life. They are carrying on so much research and living for 50, 60, or 70 years. After that, they do not know what is going to happen. They have no knowledge that life is eternal. Actually, their position is like that of an animal. An animal does not know what is after death, nor does he actually contemplate death. He does not know why he is here, nor does he know the value of life. Under the influence of Maya, the animal simply goes on eating, sleeping, defending, mating, and dying. That's all. People are endeavoring so hard, but for what purpose? They say that they are struggling so hard to make provisions for the next generation. But what are the provisions for? They cannot reply to that. This Krishna conscious movement is meant to give real purpose to life by establishing Krishna, God, as the center of everything. It is therefore to the scientists benefit to understand this important movement.
Yeah. A lot of things Prabhupada said here.
Yes.
Um, any questions or comments?
But Prabhuji, any important points can you explain little elaborately, whatever we read?
Okay.
And I especially keep in mind, Prabhuji, this, like people are struggling day in, day out. uh,
Mm-hmm.
and are they, I mean, why they are struggling? And because if they don't work so much hard, then they feel like they are left behind. But if you are working hard, you are not giving enough time to the devotion. So,
Okay.
Prabhuji, what is the balance? Yeah.
Okay. What is the balance, huh?
Yeah.
Okay. Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Secharachana. Okay. Ah. See, Krishna says, Mama Evanshu Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatana Mana Shashtani Indriyani Pakriti Sthani Karshati. These all jivas, they are my part and parcel. Okay. But due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with six senses, which include the mind. So our life is very conditioned. There is no spiritual life in it. So if there is only material life, then we will struggle, keep struggling very hard. Okay. Um, so your question was how to balance that out, right?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hmm. We can say yeah. This one, 17th verse of, I guess, 6, 6.17. युक्त आहारस्य विहारस्य युक्त चेतस कर्मसु युक्त सप्त बोधस्य योग भवति दुःखः. So we should be regulated in our habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. Then only we can mitigate all the pains that we get when we practice the yoga system. So whatever work we are doing, whatever recreation, sleeping, eating we are doing, should be regulated. Should be balanced out, or let's say we should not do too much, and neither we should do too less.
Too less. Yeah.
Eating should be done to keep our
Uh,
body
you fit. Yeah,
fit
only to sustain the
and
body. Correct.
nourish our body.
Hmm.
Okay. And sleeping should be done so that we get enough sleep, so the next day when we get up we are fresh for material work and spiritual work both. Recreation, now we need to enjoy something, right? Because we are tired and all that. Now that recreation should also be regulated,
Yes.
and it should be regulated in sense that it should be giving us positive reinforcement, not negative reinforcement. Sometimes recreation, people think let's drink. But that
Yeah.
doesn't give positive reinforcement. It gives negative reinformation. You know what happens after drinking and all that? You get some disease, liver cirrhosis, right?
Yes. Yes.
So that recreation should be regulated and should give us positive result. Now the work should also be regulated, not too much, not too less.
Okay.
Hmm? How to know if
Yes,
our
Prabhu.
work
Yes,
is
Prabhu.
too much? When we are not able to do anything other than work, then we know that it is too much. How to know if we are doing too less of work? When we are sitting idle and watching videos, we know that we are having less work. Okay.
Yeah.
So, so
Understood, Prabhu. Yeah. I think this is the correct. Yeah.
yeah. And one
Thank
more
you.
thing, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, रागद्वेष विमुक्तस्तु विषयान इंद्रियश्चरण आत्मवैश्यध्यात्म प्रसादम अधिगच्छति. So if we become regulative, right, we can obtain complete mercy of the Lord. And we should become free from attachment and aversion. Attachment, aversion means what? You know, I did I show you this last thing I'll show you.
Good, Prabhu.
Uh, uh, did I show you these three? People contemplate on sense objects like, you know, new iPhone, new phone, whatever. The moment they get there, think, oh, I've got the best thing in the world. They jump here and there. Hmm? And everyone is saying, oh, you have the best phone. But after 1 year, another phone comes. Now, the phone that you have is something you don't start liking it. You want the new phone, the latest one. And for that, you will do anything. So, this is attachment and aversion. At the start, we are attached to certain thing. And then once we get that thing, we are ours to the same thing. Ours means we hate the same thing, right?
Right, Prabhuji. This is very practical.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we should be free from this mentality, okay? If we become free from this mentality, we can control our senses to regulative principles, like I discussed. Huh? Then we can obtain complete mercy of the Lord.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other question, comment?
Prabhuji, general question, one
Yeah.
not related to today's session.
Okay.
See, we always discuss these 24, 25 elements. You know.
Yeah.
Uh, so, is there some place where, like from ABCD, we can get everything? Some place in the, I can read it separately. I mean, better. I know like five senses plus one, six. That is the main mind,
Okay.
and
Okay.
then
I
five.
will search and I will give you. Hmm?
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay. So today's discussion, like it was pretty straightforward, whatever Prabhupada was saying, right? All these points that he was saying. Um, so by our own ability, we cannot understand God. That was the whole theme, right? Own ability, we cannot. Uh, then, and he gave many, Prabhupada gave many arguments. So that was pretty clear. The last thing that Prabhupada said, um, is that, you know, don't live like an animal doesn't know what is going to happen after death. It is only very interested ki now I'm getting my grass, so I am very happy. This is not our life should be, because we are getting some good eating, sleeping, mating and defending. We should not think that okay, we are not happy. No, we should have a spiritual life in our life, and then we should spiritualize eating, sleeping, mating, defending. Okay. So when we do
Yeah.
this, then we will achieve perfection. Okay. So can we close today? Any last question or comment?
No, Prabhuji. We are
No
good.
problem. Yeah. Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Okay. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.